Italy in the 1600s was a place of beauty and darkness. Grand palaces and churches hid grim secrets. Women had no rights, no freedom, and for many, marriage was a trap they couldn't escape. In this harsh world, one woman changed everything. Her name was Giulia Tofana, and her actions led to the deaths of over 600 men. But she wasn't just a killer. Her story was far more terrifying. But let's start at the beginning. Now think about this. A woman who was both a savior and a killer. To some, she was a hero. To others, she was a monster. That was Giulia. She wasn't just any woman. She was a skilled maker of perfumes with a dark secret. Giulia created a poison so deadly, so perfect, that no one could detect it. It wasn't just any poison. It was quiet, invisible, and deadly. It slipped into people's lives without a trace. Now, Giulia Tofana wasn't any ordinary perfumer. She was a chemist, an alchemist of sorts. While others blended fragrances to charm the elite, Giulia concocted something far more sinister, a poison she called Aqua Tofana. At first glance, it was a harmless-looking liquid, often disguised in perfume bottles or holy water vials. But a few drops in wine or food were enough to end a life. What made Aqua Tofana truly terrifying, though, was its subtlety. It acted slowly, often mimicking the symptoms of natural illness. In Italy at the time, marriage wasn't just a commitment. It was a life sentence especially for women. Imagine this: no way out, no second chances, and no safety net. Divorce. It might as well have been a fairy tale. For a woman stuck in a cruel or loveless marriage, there was no light at the end of the tunnel. Society turned its back on her, the law didn't care, and the church's iron grip demanded her unquestioning obedience. It wasn't just unfair, it was a living nightmare. Women were prisoners, trapped behind the bars of societal expectations and locked doors, their screams muffled by the thick walls of tradition. But Giulia? Oh, she saw it all. She felt the suffocating despair of these women as if it were her own. Because once upon a time, it was her own. She knew what it was like to be caged, to feel hope slipping through her fingers like sand. But unlike most, Giulia didn't just accept it. No, she couldn't stomach watching women suffer in silence while the world went on pretending everything was fine. Something in her snapped, but not in a way one might expect. For Giulia, this wasn't about rebellion for the sake of rebellion. It wasn't about power, or money, or even revenge. It was survival, hers and theirs. Giulia didn't work alone. She built a secret network of women who trusted her implicitly. These weren't criminals or assassins. They were wives, daughters, and sisters who knew the cost of living under cruel and controlling men. Through whispers in the marketplace or veiled conversations at church, the word spread. If you needed freedom, Giulia could help. Now here's the twist. This wasn't just a solo operation. Giulia's daughter, Girolama, was a key part of this dark enterprise. She wasn't merely a bystander. She worked side by side with her mother, learning the craft, the secrecy, and the careful selection process. Girolama shared her mother's belief that they weren't killers, they were liberators, giving desperate women a way out when the world gave them none. But getting help from Giulia and her network wasn't easy. They didn't just sell their poison to anyone. Trust was everything. Women seeking their help were often questioned thoroughly, sometimes over weeks. Giulia had to be absolutely certain that they were genuine, that they were desperate, and that there was no other way. She wasn't interested in random killings or senseless violence. Her clients were women who had endured years of abuse, neglect, or torment. When Giulia and her daughter finally decided to help someone, the instructions they gave were as detailed as they were chilling. The poison, Aqua Tofana, was to be administered slowly over several doses. This wasn't a weapon of instant destruction. It was designed to mimic the symptoms of a worsening illness, ensuring that no one would suspect foul play. By the time the victim succumbed, their death would seem tragically natural, a cruel twist of fate rather than the calculated work of a secret sisterhood. And through it all, Girolama stood as her mother's most trusted ally, working in the shadows to protect their secret and ensure that the women who sought their help would never be betrayed. This wasn't just a network, it was a legacy, passed down from mother to daughter, bound by shared purpose and deadly precision. Well, let me tell you, operating in secret in the 1600s was no easy feat. Every move Giulia made had to be calculated, every transaction cloaked in layers of secrecy. One slip could mean death, not just for her, but for the women she was helping. And remember, this wasn't just any crime. Poisoning was considered one of the most heinous acts imaginable, punishable by torture and execution. Can you imagine living like that, always looking over your shoulder, wondering if someone might betray you? Yet Giulia didn't stop. She knew the risks, but she believed the cause was worth it. But no empire, no matter how secret, lasts forever. Giulia's downfall came not from her own carelessness, but from a betrayal. According to legend, one of her clients, a young bride, had second thoughts. She panicked after poisoning her husband's soup and confessed to a priest during confession. The priest, horrified, went straight to the authorities. That was the crack in the dam. Before long, Giulia's name was on everyone's lips. The authorities stormed her home, searching for evidence. And what they found was a chilling workshop filled with bottles of Aqua Tofana, hidden recipes, and letters from desperate women begging for her help. Giulia was arrested, along with her closest associates. The trial that followed was nothing short of a spectacle. People wanted answers. They wanted to know how a woman could run such a deadly operation without anyone noticing. Under torture, Giulia confessed to helping over 600 women escape their abusive marriages. But was her confession genuine? Torture often produced false confessions, and we may never know the full truth. What we do know is that Giulia was executed, her life ending as dramatically as the lives she had taken. Now, here's where things get even more fascinating. Even after her death, the legend of Aqua Tofana lived on. For years, poisonings across Europe were blamed on Giulia's mysterious creation. It became a symbol of fear and fascination, a reminder of the power one woman could wield in a world that sought to silence her. Some even believe that Aqua Tofana inspired later poisoners, like the infamous Brinvilliers in France. It became more than just a poison. It became a weapon of the powerless, a dark tool used by those who had no other options. So, was Giulia Tofana a hero or a villain? That's the question that still haunts historians to this day. On one hand, she gave abused women a way out when society offered them none. On the other hand, she took hundreds of lives, leaving behind grief, questions, and fear. What's undeniable is that Giulia's story is one of resilience and rebellion. She defied a system that was rigged against her and became a symbol of both empowerment and terror. And here's where things get even creepier. Some say that Giulia's recipe for Aqua Tofana wasn't lost. It was passed down, hidden in plain sight. Whispers of the poison have surfaced in stories and rumors over the centuries. Could it still exist, tucked away in some dusty manuscript, waiting to be rediscovered? We'll likely never know. But the story of Giulia Tofana serves as a chilling reminder of what people are capable of when pushed to the brink. It's a story of fear, power, and the lengths some will go to for freedom. So the next time you hear about a seemingly innocent perfume bottle, remember Giulia Tofana. Because sometimes, what looks harmless can hold the deadliest secrets. What do you think? Was Giulia Tofana a savior or a monster? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more chilling stories like this one.